The rain hit the metal roof of the outpost like falling glass. It was late, cold, and quiet. Daniel Cross, a young field medic, was closing up the clinic for the night when the alert flashed on his screen. Unidentified life form detected outer gate. Breathing, yes. Conscious, unknown. Daniel frowned. No life forms expected tonight, he muttered. He grabbed his coat and stepped out into the storm. She was lying in the mud near the outpost gate under a flickering security light. He saw her, a girl no older than 20. Her clothes were torn, her skin was pale and bruised. She wasn't wearing any shoes, no ID chip, no emergency beacon. She was lying face down in the mud, shivering. Daniel knelt beside her. Hey, can you hear me? Her eyes opened slowly, one green, one silver. For a second, she looked like she didn't understand him, then she whispered, "Don't send me back." No one knew her. Daniel carried her to the med bay. She was light, too light, like someone who hadn't eaten properly in weeks. He cleaned her wounds, scanned her vitals, and gave her water. No one responded to the emergency beacon. No missing persons match, no name. When she woke again, she didn't even remember who she was. "What's your name?" Daniel asked gently. She looked at him, confused. "I don't know." Something wasn't right. Her injuries healed too fast. Her fever vanished within hours. She never coughed, never sneezed, never showed normal human signs. And then there were her eyes. The silver one glowed faintly in the dark. Daniel tried not to stare, but he noticed. He checked her heartbeat, slightly too slow. Her blood pressure too stable. Her body temperature off by 2 degrees. She was human, but not exactly. The DNA test, Daniel wasn't supposed to run unauthorized scans, but curiosity won. Late at night, he took a blood sample and entered it into the clinic's DNA matcher. The machine beeped, loading, searching. Then the screen flashed red. Match found, access restricted, classified genetic structure, Project Eden. Daniel's heart skipped. What the hell is Project Eden, he thought. He wasn't alone. As Daniel stared at the screen, the power flickered. The security system rebooted and a message pinged the clinic's main comm line. Incoming request from Central Military Command. Location flagged. Unauthorized DNA access. Unit inbound. ETA 20 minutes. Daniel turned to look at the girl, still sleeping peacefully in the recovery bed. She had no name, no past, but now someone powerful was coming for her, and he didn't trust their reasons. She woke up crying as he began to pack emergency supplies. The girl stirred, her eyes opened wide. She sat up fast, breathing hard. "Where am I?" "You're safe," Daniel said, trying to sound calm. "I'm Daniel. I found you outside the gate. You were hurt." She looked around the room, confused. Her hands trembled. Then softly she said, "Why do I feel like I'm not supposed to exist?" The choice, Daniel knew what the rules said. Call it in, let the military take over, let them handle it. But as he looked into her strange, scared eyes, he thought, she's not a threat, she's someone's mistake. No, not a mistake. She was a secret, a shocking truth buried in blood and silence, and someone wanted it erased. Daniel looked at her and whispered, "If they come for you, do you trust me to keep you safe?" She nodded slowly. "Then we need to leave now." The night was silent, but Daniel's heart was pounding. He packed fast, medkits, food, ID fakes, a portable scanner, and kept glancing at the girl sleeping on the small medical bed. She had no name, no past, just one strange truth in her blood, and now military command was on the way. Time was running out. He accessed his private network. The DNA file from earlier was locked again, scrubbed clean, but Daniel had copied one thing, a single phrase, before the file disappeared. Project Eden. Class X genetic clearance required. He had never heard of it, and he'd seen a lot. This wasn't just an alien match. This was covered up, and that made her dangerous. She felt it too. The girl woke as he prepped the escape shuttle. Her eyes opened, both now glowing faintly in the dark. "Something's coming," she whispered. Daniel nodded. "Yes, soldiers, I think they want to take you." She looked down at her hands. "Why, I don't even know who I am." Daniel paused. "I don't think you were meant to know." They landed in a backwater mining town 3 sectors out. There, Daniel found an old friend, Lena, a retired systems hacker. She owed Daniel a favor from the war. He handed her the blood scan data and said, "Find everything you can on Project Eden." She plugged into her deep net system and raised an eyebrow. "Daniel, are you sure you want to see this?" "Just show me," he said. The screen filled with broken files, encrypted code, and redacted reports. Lena bypassed it all, and then a file opened. Video footage, old, grainy. Children in a lab, not fully human, not fully alien. A voice spoke in the background. Hybrid development is progressing. They show signs of both sides, speed, intelligence, healing. Emotion is the challenge, but Subject 7 shows strong empathy. The camera focused on a small girl with silver and green eyes. She was smiling. It was her. She was made, not born. Daniel sat in silence. Lena said softly, Project Eden wasn't about making peace. It was about making control. They built children, he asked. Biological weapons, Daniel, designed to connect with both species, to spy, manipulate, even lead. And when it failed, they shut it down, erased everything, burned the records. Probably burned the kids, too. Daniel turned to the girl, now staring at the screen. I remember a fire, she said quietly. A warning flashed on Lena's screen. Unauthorized Eden file access. Location tagged. Response team inbound. ETA 15 minutes. Daniel stood. They're tracking the file. We have to move now. Lena handed him a data drive. It's all here. Proof of her birth, the experiment, everything. The girl whispered, They tried to erase me. Daniel looked at her and said, Then let's show them you're still here. As they fled into the night, Daniel asked softly, If you could choose your name, what would it be? She thought for a moment, then said, LRA. It feels like it was once mine. He smiled. Then we protect LRA now, not Project Eden. The desert winds howled around them as their stolen shuttle skidded across a dry canyon ridge. Inside, Daniel gripped the controls. His eyes were locked on the radar. Behind them, 2 black military ships, fast, armed, silent. They weren't coming to capture, they were coming to erase. She felt them before the radar did. In the co-pilot seat, LRA sat with her eyes closed. Her hands trembled slightly. They're getting closer, she said. Daniel glanced at the scanner. How do you know? They're not even in range yet. She opened her eyes. I don't know how, I just feel them. He didn't question it, not anymore. They needed a place to hide. Daniel turned the shuttle sharply and dropped into a canyon tunnel too narrow for larger ships to follow. They needed time and answers. He checked the drive Lena had given them. Still safe inside, every secret about Project Eden, everything the galaxy was never supposed to know. LRA watched the screen. This is me, she whispered, but I don't remember being that child. Daniel looked at her. That's because they took your memories just like they took your path. The memory began to return as the sun set over the desert. They landed near the ruins of an old outpost, abandoned since the war. They found shelter in a half-buried bunker. LRA sat against the wall, silent. Suddenly she gasped, her hand gripped the side of her head. Flashes of memory hit her like lightning. Bright lights, cold water, voices speaking in both human and alien tongues, screaming, and a face, a young boy crying beside her. She looked up, her voice shaking. There were others like me. Someone was watching outside. Daniel scanned for signals. That's when he saw it, a small drone, camouflaged, hovering near the rocks. Before he could shoot it, the drone darted away. He returned to LRA. We've been spotted. LRA stood up. I won't run forever, she said. I want to know what I am. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not just something they built. You're who you choose to be now. LRA stepped into the middle of the bunker and closed her eyes. I want to try something. Daniel backed away. What are you doing? She raised her hands. Her body glowed faintly. Around her, the old bunker lights flickered, then turned on. The room's generator powered up. Screens booted. Systems that had been dead for years awakened. LRA opened her eyes, breathing hard. I didn't mean to, it just happened. Daniel stared. You're not just part alien, you're something else. They're coming again. The ground shook. Far away, gunships approached fast. They had been tracked again. Daniel grabbed the drive, the medkit, and Elra's hand. We need to move now. But LRA paused and looked back at the glowing screens. Maybe I wasn't made to destroy, she said softly. Maybe I was made to wake things up. The stars above the desert were cold and quiet, but inside the old shuttle, everything had changed. Daniel watched LRA as she slept. Her breathing was calm, but her fingers twitched like they were remembering something her mind had forgotten. She wasn't just recovering, she was awakening. The data core unlocked. Daniel sat beside the drive Lena had given them. Most of the files were locked, but now, after what LRA did at the old bunker, the drive responded to her presence. A new message appeared. Access confirmed. Subject 7, LRA, clearance granted. Daniel leaned forward. The screen opened a folder labeled Project Eden, Final Purpose. He read the words out loud. Eden units were not built to fight. They were built to feel, to connect, to end wars not with force but with understanding. Daniel stared in silence, a living bridge. More files opened, videos of alien leaders speaking with Eden children. One scene showed LRA, just a child, placing her hand on a wounded human's chest. His pain faded. His eyes changed. Her DNA wasn't just mixed, it had something extra. Empathic sync capacity, 92%. Projected influence range, high emotional bonding. She wasn't made to kill, she was made to heal. But why was she left behind? Daniel scrolled to the final entry. Subject 7 shows unapproved emotional growth, strong attachment to handlers, refuses to comply with memory resets, recommend termination. Daniel clenched his jaw, but then another note appeared in different handwriting. I couldn't do it. I erased her data, hid her. If she survives, maybe peace has a chance. A scientist had saved her. One person had believed. LRA gasped awake, her hands shook, her eyes were wet. I saw them, she whispered. Others like me in a white room, they were scared and then they were gone. She looked at Daniel, eyes glowing again. I think I was the only one who survived. Daniel gently took her hand. Not just survived, LRA, you're the last hope of what they tried to destroy. A new plan formed. Daniel stood. We can't keep running, we have to show this to the galaxy. LRA nodded, but they'll never believe me. They don't have to, Daniel replied. They just have to see where it all began. LRA pulled up a location embedded in the files, a space relay station, abandoned since the war. It was built to broadcast emergency peace messages to both sides. It still had a signal strong enough to reach every system. I know that place, LRA whispered. That's where I was taken after I ran, that's where they wiped me. Daniel nodded. Then we go back and we wake up the galaxy. But they were not alone. Far above the desert in orbit, a signal pulsed inside a black command ship. A soldier read the transmission. Subject S located, prepare strike team. Someone high up had seen the data unlock, and they were ready to bury Eden forever. Far above the desert moon, a black military vessel drifted like a shadow. Inside, soldiers prepared in silence. No questions, no names, just a target, Subject 7, codename LRA. One command flashed across their helmets, do not let her speak. Meanwhile, Daniel and LRA took off in their old shuttle, flying low through dust storms, heading toward the galactic relay tower hidden in the wastelands. This place can send a signal to every channel, she said. Civilian, military, alien all at once. Daniel nodded. Once they see what you are, they can't deny the truth anymore. But both knew that also meant every enemy would see her too. They were not alone. As they approached the relay station, warning lights blinked on the shuttle's radar, 3 small ships behind them. Daniel's eyes narrowed. They found us. LRA stood calmly. I'll handle it. The lights flickered. Outside, the enemy ships began to shake. Inside one cockpit, a pilot screamed, "Get out of my head, what is this?" One ship spun out of control. Another powered down completely. Daniel stared. What did you do? LRA opened her eyes slowly. I didn't hurt them, I just made them feel what I felt. Fear, pain, loneliness, and then peace. But the third ship didn't stop. It landed near the relay tower just as Daniel and LRA touched down. Out stepped a single figure wearing black armor. No insignia, no name, just a weapon glowing cold blue. You shouldn't exist, he said, walking toward LRA. I know, she replied softly, but I do. He raised his weapon. You were built to control minds, you're not a person, you're a program. Daniel stepped between them. She's more human than anyone I've ever met. The soldier hesitated. You really believe that? LRA stepped forward. Let me show you. She reached out her hand. Her fingertips touched his forehead. His weapon dropped. His knees buckled. For 5 full seconds, he saw her memories, the cage, the scientists, the children who screamed, the burning room, and her crying in the dark, alone. When it ended, the soldier fell to his knees, shaking. I didn't know. LRA knelt beside him. I forgive you. The soldier stood up slowly. There are more coming, not just hunters, entire fleets. Once your signal goes out, they'll try to silence everything. LRA nodded, then let them try. Daniel whispered, "Are you ready for that?" LRA looked at the stars. "I was born to bring peace, but if I must survive a war first, I won't run again." The wind howled through the steel bones of the abandoned galactic relay tower. Inside, the power systems flickered to life. The air felt old, but the machines remembered. LRA stood in a control chamber, her eyes glowing faintly. This was the place where they erased me, and now I will make sure the galaxy sees everything. A message no one could block. Daniel connected the old core to the data drive. The screen lit up, system active, broadcast ready. LRA uploaded everything. The lab files, her DNA scans, the experiment logs, the children who didn't survive, her memories. Daniel asked gently, "Are you sure?" She nodded. "They made me to connect both sides. If this is the only way, I accept it." The moment she spoke, she stepped onto the platform. A single camera activated, a red light live feed. The broadcast began across all sectors to all species, human and alien alike. LRA looked straight into the lens. "My name is LRA. I was born in a lab, not from love but from fear, made to be a weapon, raised to obey, but I am not a mistake. I am not a machine. I feel, I remember, I forgive." She paused, then continued. "There were others like me, innocent. They were erased. I was, and now I speak for them." The galaxy listened. Across Earth, Zarn colonies, war-torn planets, and neutral stations, people stopped. Soldiers paused mid-battle. Civilians cried. Commanders clenched their fists. They saw a girl scarred by memory, but strong, not angry, not broken. Free. Inside the control room, warning lights flared. Daniel shouted, "Multiple warships entering orbit, human and alien." On screen, a priority kill order. Subject 7, strike in 5 minutes. LRA turned to Daniel. "We did what we came to do." He shook his head. "We're not dying today." But LRA touched his hand. "I'm not afraid anymore." As enemy ships closed in, something pulsed across the broadcast. LRA stepped forward again and whispered into the feed, "You don't need to fight for me. You only need to remember what they tried to bury." And then ships began powering down, not because of an attack, but because the crews refused to fire. From one ship to the next, captains made their choice. "We won't kill her. We're not tools anymore." Commands from above barked orders, threatened, screamed, but no one fired. Across the galaxy, a new silence spread, not of fear, but of choice. And for the first time in decades, there was no war in space. The stress hit LRA all at once. Her body shook, her knees gave out. Daniel caught her. "LRA, stay with me." She smiled faintly. "I did it, didn't I?" He nodded, voice breaking. "Yes, you did." The broadcast had ended, but the echo of El-Ra's words traveled through space and into hearts. For the first time in years, humans and aliens looked at each other not as enemies, but as beings who shared pain, memory, and now a single truth. Military leaders watched the reports roll in. Enemy fleets powering down, commanders refusing strike orders, public outcry rising, demanding peace. One general whispered, "We lost control." And in that moment they understood LRA had done what bombs never could. LRA opened her eyes days later. She was resting in a peaceful room, sunlight pouring through a window. Daniel sat beside her, smiling. "You slept for 3 days," he said softly. She blinked slowly. "Is it over?" He nodded. "The war didn't start. You stopped it. Your message." It reached everyone. LRA looked down at her hands. "They were made to be tools," she whispered. Daniel took her hand in his. "Now they hold peace." Voices rose around her. Across the galaxy, alien leaders called for formal talks. Human civilians lit candles in her name. Statues were torn down. Stories were rewritten. The galaxy didn't forget what she said, and they didn't forget who she was. A week later, the newly formed Unity Council asked LRA to appear. They didn't ask her to fight or to prove anything. They simply asked, "Will you be the voice for those who had none?" She stood in front of the council, her scar still visible, her voice calm. "I was made in a lab, but I became more than what they wanted. I became human, and I became something alien too, not a weapon, but a bridge." Daniel stood beside her, quiet and proud. The medic who chose to protect a girl with no name, the man who believed before the galaxy did. LRA faced the stars on her final broadcast. "This is not the end of war, but it is the end of silence. I remember what they did to me, but I choose to speak not with hate, but with hope." Years later, a child sits on a classroom floor staring up at a hologram. The teacher says, "And this is how peace began." The hologram shows Elra's face, strong, scarred, smiling. She was the girl with no past, but she gave the future to all of us.